5 extremely dangerous self-firing firearms. Have you guys ever admired some weapons that you may have watched in films or any other scenarios? Then this video may give you goosebumps. This video is about some extremely dangerous firearms. Any portable barreled weapon that fires a shot, bullet or projectile, or can be easily converted to do so by the action of an explosive, is referred to as a firearm, with the exception of vintage weapons and their replicas. So guys, are you excited to see the 5 of the most dangerous self-firing firearms? To know which is the most dangerous, continue to our channel, Military Zone. If you watch this video, it will be greatly useful for you handling dangerous weapons. So, let's begin. Number 1. The old-style single-action revolvers. A revolver, often known as a wheel gun, is a repeated handgun with at least one barrel that fires from a rotating cylinder with many chambers, each of which carrying one cartridge. Revolvers are also known as 6-shooters since most models can fire up to 6 rounds of ammunition before needing to reload. Old-styled single-action revolvers with loaded chambers beneath the firing pin may discharge if dropped or knocked on the hammer by accident, regardless of where the hammer is located. The safety notch of the hammer offers only a small amount of security against unintentional trigger pulls or hammer blows. Revolvers remain extremely popular among American law enforcement officers and security guards as backup off-duty handguns. They remain widely used in the private sector as protective, sporting, and scavenging firearms. The Webley, the Colt Single Action Army, the Colt Official Police, the Smith & Wesson Model 10, the Smith & Wesson Model 29 of Dirty Harry fame, the Nagant M1895, and the Colt Python are the most well-known revolver models. Since the renowned Peacemaker single-action revolver was first introduced more than a century ago, it has been widely accepted that the safest method to carry such revolvers is to load no more than 5 rounds and to leave an empty chamber underneath the firing pin. Old-style single-action revolvers from other manufacturers, especially those made abroad, may or may not have an additional manual, safeties, that are reliable. Number 2. The Remington 700 model. Since 1962, Remington Arms has been producing a line of bolt-action centerfire rifles under the Model 700 name. It is an improvement on the 1948 released Remington 721 and 722 family of rifles. The Model 700 is the basis for both the M24 and the M40 military sniper rifles, which are employed by the US Army and Marine Corps respectively. The Remington 700 model is recognized for its precision and smooth, sharp trigger system, which was originally heralded as a design breakthrough for firearms. But the issue is with this particular technique. Merle Mike Walker, an engineer, filed a patent for it in 1950 under the name Walker Fire Control Trigger. It has a trigger connector, a piece of metal about the size of a paperclip, which floats around the inside of the firing mechanism between the trigger and the sear, the metal bar holding back the firing pin, and which is only held by the trigger by the tension of a spring. When the pistol is discharged, the connection, which is loosely attached to the trigger, separates from the trigger body, leaving space for rust, dirt, or other debris to collect. As a result, the connector may be unable to move back to its original position, which could lead to a trigger losing all contact with the firing mechanism. The Mountain LSS model from Remington has a laminated stock and a stainless steel barrel. Numerous lawsuits have been filed alleging that Remington is prone to discharging without a trigger squeeze because of its design. Number 3. The Ambu Pistol Type 94. There have been a lot of poorly made guns, but none have ever been as poorly made or as popular as the Ambu Type 94, which was made between 1935 and 1945. Despite being a fairly bad handgun, the Imperial Japanese Army utilized it frequently throughout the Second World War. The semi-automatic Ambu Type 94 pistol was created by Kijie Nambu, a retired Army veteran, and his collaborators. Only 2 of these 3 requirements were ever accomplished. It was intended to be compact, light, and extremely effective. Even though it was modest, it was completely ineffective. In reality, it posed a serious risk to its consumers. Firstly, its small stature had a few unfavorable consequences. It featured a tiny grip that fit the Japanese warriors' little hands admirably. The cartridge could only contain 6 shots though. The cartridge was also challenging to reinstall due to the pressure of the bolt. Tremendous power was required to jam it back in. The pistol's magazine catch was projecting and could easily be bumped, allowing the magazine to jump out of the gun. Therefore, soldiers had to be cautious when putting the weapon in its pouch or even setting it on a hard surface. However, this design still needs fixing. So are you guys excited to know the rest of these dangerous firearms? Then watch the video all the way through and hit the subscribe button, as well as hit the bell icon to receive notifications whenever a new video is posted. Number 4. The Taurus PT-24/7 DS. Forest Taurus SA of Brazil created and produced the Taurus PT-24/7. It was primarily intended for use by civil consumers and law enforcement agencies. In 2004, this weapon was released. There are numerous variants of the Taurus PT-24/7. The police and military of Brazil, as well as probably some other users, all utilize this pistol. 9 Taurus 9mm pistol models were the subject of a $30 million class action settlement struck by Taurus International. On October 30th, Donald Sims of Alabama filed one of the claims in a Florida court. The other was sent the same day by Kentucky resident Jason Friend. Sims tried to put a magazine into a Taurus PT-609 9mm on February 15th, the lawsuit claims, with less than a year's ownership of the weapon. He slapped the magazine with the palm of his hand since it did not fit in the slot properly. According to the lawsuit, this led to the slide springing shut and the rifle firing upon receiving a second bump. Sims asserted that he didn't touch the trigger. The bullet struck Sims' son in the neck after passing through his hand and his wife's. The 11-year-old boy's wounds unfortunately caused his death. In a related complaint, Friend claims that in February 2014, his Taurus 24/7 Pro DS was discharged when it hit the ground after falling out of its holster. Taurus settled the lawsuit in July. Number 5. The Inter Ordnance. In 1995, Inter Ordnance, or IO, set up a shop in Monroe in North Carolina. In the beginning, the business imported surplus gun parts. Later, it assembled AKMs using component kits. However, production problems in North Carolina and the availability of various AKM building standards in China and the Eastern Bloc resulted in the production of weapons that were occasionally difficult to assemble and had a variable performance. In 2013, Yuli Weigand, the owner of IO, relocated the business to Palm Bay in Florida, where the aerospace industry's layoffs had produced a sizable pool of high-qualified personnel. IO had been extending its manufacturing facilities over the past 2 years and is now producing a number of AKM variant rifles in addition to other firearms. Sadly, the Inter Ordnance rifle was unable to complete its first magazine without suffering a significant functional failure. Due to a flaw, the AK Operators Union was not able to balance the weapon. In the front sight pin does not remain in place. Despite being far more difficult to move, some users were capable of moving the front sight post with one finger. When changing windage, the interference fit between both pieces should necessitate the use of a press or adjustment tool. This does not speak well for the rifle's long-term performance, especially when coupled with the inability to put in a second cartridge just a few rounds later. A South Florida gun dealer is the target of a class action lawsuit. And that is all for today. If you guys liked our video, then please give us a thumbs up and tell us in the comments which firearm has piqued your interest the most. Smash that subscribe button and also hit the bell icon to receive notifications about our upcoming videos. Please spend some time watching our other videos on our channel, and we'll see you in the next video.